Do you think women fall in love? They don't. They react to things they can't control. That's the first hard truth you need to know. Love is just a word that's soft, flexible, and always changing. But these reactions are not like that. These reactions are like buttons hidden deep in her mind, created by nature, shaped by how the brain works, and older than words themselves. When those buttons are pressed, she follows. When they're not pressed, she loses interest. No matter how much love you think you gave, look back at your past. You gave her devotion. You gave her loyalty. You gave her safety. And she still left. Why? Because devotion doesn't press a button. Loyalty doesn't create excitement. Safety doesn't pull the trigger that keeps her interested. You thought comfort was power. You thought trying hard meant she'd be attracted. And you got hurt because of it. Do you know the 5 mental buttons in her mind that decide if she forgets you or can't stop thinking about you? Most men never know these exist. They think attraction is random, magical, and impossible to understand. But women aren't working on magic. They're working on brain switches. When the right switch is flipped, she wants you no matter what logic says. When it's not touched, nothing you give, no gifts, no promises, no years of giving up things, will matter. This video will explain those 5 triggers. Each one is a crack in her mind. Each one is something you can mess up or handle well. Ignore them and you fade from her memory like smoke. Control them and you become the person she can't escape. Understand this, the 5 triggers are not the same. The first 4 create attraction, tension, and obsession. But the fifth is the dangerous one. It's not just a switch. It's a mark. Once made, it doesn't go away. It ties her mind to you in ways even she can't explain. That's why you need to watch until the end. Because without the 5th, the others fall apart. With the 5th, she can't leave. You live in a world that has lied to you. They told you to be nice, to always be there, to give her everything she needs. They told you that giving without end would make her stay. And yet, every time you did that, you lost. You became replaceable, invisible, forgotten. The truth is harsh. Women aren't moved by the man who gives them everything. They're moved by the man who presses what they can't control. Attraction is not a choice. It's a reaction. And you either control that reaction or you suffer because of it. Imagine her mind as a locked safe. Inside that safe is desire, obsession, and respect. Most men bang on the door with flowers, money, and words of love. The door doesn't open. The triggers are the keys. 5 specific keys. You'll learn each one by one. But here's what you need to prepare for: when you hear them, you'll understand why you failed. You'll understand why she forgot you, why she didn't respect you, why she replaced you. And that understanding will hurt. It will destroy the comforting lies. You'll be exposed to the truth. But in being exposed is the start of power. You came here because you're tired of being erased. Tired of being the man who gave and was forgotten. Tired of being the man who played it safe and got replaced. You came here because somewhere inside you there's still a desire to stand up as a man. To carry weight. To be the center. To be the one she can't dismiss. Then listen. Stay until the end. The 5 triggers aren't entertainment. They're the structure of female psychology. They're the difference between being thrown away and being remembered, between being a choice and being the center. Trigger 1 will destroy your false belief about being around. Trigger 2 will show you the boundary she secretly wants. Trigger 3 will pull you out of neediness and into not caring. Trigger 4 will break her patterns. And Trigger 5 will mark you in her memory forever. The question isn't whether you believe this. The question is whether you're ready to stop losing to lies and start pulling the switches that actually decide your fate. Stop thinking she falls for love. She falls for triggers. And tonight you'll see all 5. Trigger number 1, the weight of silence. She fears silence more than rejection. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is weight. Most men don't understand this. They think silence is weakness, doing nothing, or giving up. So they fill every empty moment with noise, with texts, with calls, with explanations, with desperate proof that they exist. And by doing this, they make themselves weightless. They become air, always available, always rushing to fill the empty space, never noticed, always taken for granted. You need to understand, silence is not the lack of power. Silence is the presence of control. It's the things not said that carry more force than floods of words. It's the pause that makes her imagination work. It's the space that makes her chase you. Think about her psychology. Women don't want constant reassurance. They want the tension of not knowing. A message not answered becomes heavier than 10 messages replied to. A pause in conversation forces her mind to replay, to think deeply, to fill the space you left. Silence makes you bigger in her head than noise ever could. Rejection is clear. It ends the story. Silence is unclear. It keeps the story alive. That lack of clarity eats at her. She can see rejection as an ending. She can't understand silence. Silence is the blank page she can't stop writing on. Why does she fear it? Because silence means she's not in control. It means she's not sure. It means her feminine weapon, attention, has failed to get a response from you. And the human mind is drawn to what resists it. The more she can't get noise from you, the more she must return to your silence. You were trained to believe that talking keeps her close. That if you keep talking, keep explaining, keep expressing, she'll stay. But look at what really happened. Did it work? Or did every flood of your words weaken your weight until you disappeared? She doesn't drown in your noise. She drowns in your silence. The great thinkers knew this long before psychology tested it. Nietzsche understood the power of the empty space, the void that stares back. Jung knew the unconscious mind fills gaps with symbols, projections, and fantasies. Silence is your empty space. She stares into it and it stares back at her. She fills it with her fears, her fantasies, her obsession. Imagine 2 men. One answers every message instantly, fills every silence with talk, constantly seeks her attention. The other responds when he chooses, lets silence grow between them, makes no effort to cover every gap. Which man weighs more in her mind? Which man makes her lean forward, wonder, chase? Always the one who carries silence. Silence is not coldness. It's not cruelty. It's design. It's the deliberate choice not to cheapen yourself by being constantly consumed. You're not a product on sale, desperate to be chosen. You're the center around which she must rotate, and silence enforces that center. Don't misunderstand me. Silence isn't about ignoring forever. It's about selective presence. It's about pulling back your voice until its return carries shock, weight, and meaning. When you speak less, each word cuts deeper. When you withdraw, your return feels huge. Silence is the art of being scarce. Being scarce creates value. And here's the harsh truth: women are addicted not to the men who speak most, but to the men whose silence weighs on them. She forgets the chatter, but she can't escape the echo of a silence that forced her to question herself. So stop filling every space with words. Stop explaining yourself into nothingness. Stop texting to prove you still exist. Let the silence grow. Let her imagination work against her. Let her obsession build in the absence of your reassurance. Let silence weigh on her, because the weight of silence is the first trigger, and once you learn to use it, you'll never chase again. Now we move to trigger number 2, because silence alone isn't enough. Silence creates space. But without resistance, she'll still try to invade and dissolve you. You must carry the frame that can't be broken. And that's where the second trigger begins. Trigger number 2, the frame of resistance. She respects only the walls she can't break. Every woman tests. Not sometimes, not occasionally, always. Her psychology demands it. She'll push, poke, provoke. Not because she hates you, but because she needs to know where the walls stand. And if she discovers you have none, you dissolve. Think of water poured into a container. Without form, it floods everywhere, shapeless, weak. With boundaries, it takes shape. You are that container. Without a frame, you get swallowed. With a frame, you contain. She doesn't love the men she can bend however she wants. She forgets them. She loves the man whose resistance forces her to face her own limits. Her unconscious mind is drawn to opposition. When she finds no resistance, she feels no weight. When she feels no weight, she feels no man. You think saying yes to every demand makes you good. You think giving her everything she asks makes you necessary. But the opposite is cruel truth. The more you collapse, the less she values you. The more you resist, the more she respects you. What is frame? Frame is your law. Frame is your structure. The invisible design that defines who you are and what can't be violated. Frame is the line you hold regardless of her storms, her tears, her anger, her seduction. Without it, you're not a man. You're a shadow waiting for her to define you. She's not attracted to the man she commands. She's attracted to the man she can't move. It's not cruelty. It's gravity. Resistance creates friction, and friction creates fire. Look at your past. How many times did you bend to keep her happy only to find her colder, more distant? You thought you were keeping peace, but you were killing desire. Every collapse was a silent confession: you have no law, no weight, no edge. And she can't respect what dissolves. The greatest thinkers knew this. Machiavelli taught that power isn't given. It's held through boundaries. Freud revealed that desire itself is tied to resistance. The forbidden creates more hunger than what's permitted. When you fold, you remove resistance. When you hold, you create desire. She'll call your resistance arrogance. She'll call your refusal cruelty. But beneath the accusation, her attraction deepens. Because only in the presence of a wall does she feel the force of a man. Only in the presence of a line does she feel she's facing something greater than herself. To carry frame isn't to dominate by rage. It's not to control with force. It's to remain unmovable when she tries to bend you. It's to calmly hold the line no matter what storm she releases. A wall doesn't need to shout to prove its strength. Its presence alone is enough. You must learn to say no without apology, to decline demands without explanation, to hold your vision even when she threatens to leave. Because the man who can be manipulated will always be abandoned in the end. The man who can't be broken is the man who becomes unforgettable. Stop collapsing. Hold the line. Every time you refuse to dissolve, you build weight. Every time you enforce your boundaries, she feels your presence. Every time you remain unshaken, she respects you more than the men who bent to her every wish. And this is where silence and resistance merge. Silence created the space that forced her to lean forward. Resistance is the wall that forces her to respect the boundary. Together, they create the first pillars of male gravity. Now prepare for what comes next. Because silence and resistance aren't enough. To truly bind her, you must become the center, the axis she can't shift, the indifference that forces her orbit. That's the third trigger. Trigger 3, the axis of indifference. The less you need her, the more she needs you. Neediness is the death of desire. The moment she senses that you orbit around her approval, she's already won. She owns your gravity. She controls your center, and you dissolve into a satellite, small, replaceable, forgettable. But when you radiate indifference, when your existence doesn't depend on her presence, you become the center she can't escape. You stop revolving around her, and she begins revolving around you. This is the brutal opposite truth of female psychology. She's drawn to the man who doesn't depend on her, even as she hates the void his indifference creates. You've been told that love means need, that showing her she's everything will bind her. But you've lived the result. Your need made you invisible. You were ignored, dismissed, left behind. Because in her unconscious mind, what is fully possessed is no longer valued. Only what resists being owned becomes obsession. Indifference is not hatred. Indifference is not cruelty. Indifference is being your own person. It's the refusal to place your worth in her hands. It's the silent statement, I exist with or without you. That statement terrifies her, but it also hypnotizes her. Look at her behavior. She gets upset when you delay a reply, when you hold back attention, when you're absorbed in your own world. She calls it arrogance. She accuses you of not caring. But beneath the accusation is fascination. Because your indifference proves what most men can't, that you don't beg for her energy to survive. You create your own. Her anger is proof of your power. The man she truly fears isn't the man who leaves, but the man who stays without depending, because such a man can't be controlled. He can't be manipulated by affection or withdrawal. He is complete, and his completeness forces her to chase. Philosophers knew this. Schopenhauer wrote that desire thrives on tension and lack. Jung observed that projection fills the void. Nietzsche understood that the highest spirit creates its own values. Indifference is the living form of these truths. It's the state of being untouchable by her changes, unmoved by her storms. Consider the difference between the needy man and the indifferent center. The needy man waits for her smile, her text, her approval to feel alive. His mood rises and falls with her attention. She grows tired of him quickly because he mirrors her rather than grounding her. But the center remains still. Whether she smiles or criticizes, he doesn't shift. His indifference creates magnetic pull. She hates it, yet she returns. She despises it, yet she can't break it. You must detach from her approval. Every time you beg for it, you shrink yourself. Every time you seek it, you sell your power. When you stop seeking it, when you stand indifferent, you create a force stronger than affection. You create dependence. She becomes dependent on your center, on your stillness, on your refusal to collapse. And here's the cruel irony, she'll accuse you of not loving her enough, even as she clings tighter. She'll test harder, even as her desire deepens. Because indifference isn't absence. It's presence without dependence. It's the silent statement that she can't complete you, and therefore she can't escape you. Detach from her approval. Become the center. Every time you remain unshaken, every time you prove you don't orbit her, you make her orbit you. You're no longer a man in pursuit. You're the center of her pursuit. This is the third trigger, and it binds deeper than silence or resistance. But it's still not enough, because if you remain predictable in your indifference, she'll adapt. To keep her attention, to carve your mark into her mind, you must shatter her patterns. You must become the man she can't predict. That's trigger 4. Trigger number 4, the shock of unpredictability. She craves the man she can't predict. Being predictable is poison. When she knows your next word, your next move, your next action, she's already halfway gone. The brain doesn't release excitement chemicals in routine. The heart doesn't pound for the familiar. Attraction lives in the unknown, in the breaking of patterns, in the shock of unpredictability. You were taught to be consistent, steady, reliable. You thought this would comfort her, and it did. But comfort doesn't burn. Comfort is what she gives to pets and furniture, not to men she obsesses over. Reliability makes you safe, but it doesn't make you unforgettable. She may keep you, but she won't crave you. Understand this: the feminine mind feeds on drama, on surprise, on breaking patterns. When you act outside the script, you bypass her defenses and strike her nervous system directly. The sudden shift releases excitement chemicals, pleasure chemicals, desire. She hates losing control, yet she's most alive when she loses it. Think of every story she loves: novels, films, fantasies. None of them revolve around steady men who never surprise. They revolve around the man who disrupts, who shifts the ground beneath her feet, who makes her feel something she can't predict. Being predictable is death to her desire. Being unpredictable is its resurrection. Why? Because the brain remembers stronger around shock. The unexpected event writes itself deeper into memory than 1,000 repetitions of the same routine. When you break the pattern, you create a mark of experience she can't erase. She may not like it in the moment, but she can't forget it. You must learn to break her expectations. If she predicts your every text, delay it. If she expects constant softness, deliver sharpness. If she expects you to be passive, assert force. Not recklessly, not with chaos, but with precision. Each disruption must remind her you're not a script she can read. You're a force she must adapt to. Don't confuse unpredictability with being unstable. Being unstable is weakness. It shows you can't control yourself. Unpredictability is design. It shows you can control the story. The difference is subtle but absolute. The unstable man is forgotten as a mess. The unpredictable man is remembered as a storm. She may curse you for it. She may accuse you of confusing her, of playing games. But beneath her words is the pulse of excitement, because you're not where she left you. You're not the safe, dull constant. You're the shifting ground that makes her excitement surge. And excitement is the same as attraction. Men fear unpredictability because they fear rejection. They want certainty, control, assurance. But that very hunger for being predictable makes them weak in her eyes. She doesn't want certainty from you. She wants to feel that around you she can't be certain, that you're larger than her expectations. Stop being scripted. Break the pattern. Every time you disrupt her prediction, you inject energy into her nervous system. Every time you shift the script, you carve deeper into her memory. She can dismiss the man she can map out. She can't dismiss the man she can't chart. And here's the deeper law: unpredictability is the gateway to obsession. When she can't predict you, she can't prepare for you. When she can't prepare, she's always on edge, always alert, always tuned into your presence. You become the unresolved question in her mind, the one she can't silence. But unpredictability, powerful as it is still a spark. Sparks ignite, but they fade. To bind her permanently, to carve a mark she can't escape, you must go further. You must leave a mark that even time can't erase. That's the fifth trigger, the irreplaceable scar, the final law, the binding mark, the force that chains her not just to desire but to memory itself. Trigger number 5, the irreplaceable scar. She forgets comfort. She never forgets disruption. The human mind doesn't cling to peace. It clings to breaking points. It clings to the moments that cut, the shocks that left wounds, the earthquakes that couldn't be explained away. This is why the fifth trigger isn't simply attraction. It's a mark. It's the scar that binds her memory to you long after everything else dissolves. She can replace kindness. She can replace loyalty. She can replace a man who gave her everything. But she can't replace the man who disrupted her world. The man who left a scar deep enough that every new touch brushes against it. She hates him. She loves him. She can't escape him. You must see this harsh truth: the men who gave her stability are forgotten. But the man who shook her foundation becomes immortal in her mind. It's not about cruelty. It's not about harm for its own sake. It's about becoming the event she can't erase. Think of your own life. Who do you remember most clearly? The ones who treated you gently, or the ones who struck your soul with force, whether through love, betrayal, or a moment that scarred you? The brain holds scars longer than pleasures. The body forgets the soft. It never forgets the sharp. This is what you must become for her, the sharp, the irreplaceable scar, the moment that divides her life into before and after. You're not another chapter in her book. You're the fold that changes the story forever. Psychology confirms it. Trauma, breaking points, disruption, these are carved deeper than routine. The brain pathways carved by shock are nearly impossible to erase. The same is true for attraction. When you mark her with disruption, you secure a place in her unconscious mind. She'll love others. She'll leave others. But she'll measure every man against the scar you left, and no one will fit. Understand? She doesn't tremble for comfort. She trembles for the scar. She doesn't wake in the night thinking of the man who was always there. She wakes remembering the man who was unmovable, unpredictable, unforgettable, the man who denied her control and branded himself into her memory. But this power carries weight. It's not given lightly. To scar is not to abuse. To scar is to disrupt in a way that defines. It's to be the man who refuses to dissolve, who resists her storms, who stays indifferent, who shocks her patterns until finally she can't erase you. You become the line she carries forever. Stop giving comfort. Become the scar, because comfort is disposable. Scar is permanent. Comfort fades with time. Scar deepens with memory. Every woman carries one, the man she couldn't replace, the mark she couldn't erase. You must choose, will you be another face that disappears into comfort, or will you be the mark she can't scrub from her soul? This is why Trigger 5 is the culmination of all the others. Silence opens the void. Resistance builds the wall. Indifference creates the center. Unpredictability ignites the excitement. But the scar, this is the law that chains her to you. Without it, she can walk. With it, she can leave your presence but never escape your weight. And this is where you must understand the final law of attraction: women aren't bound by what you give them. They're bound by what they can't forget. You're not remembered for your comfort. You're remembered for your scar. Now we move into the end, the conclusion where all 5 triggers come together. Where the truth reveals itself without disguise. And in that revelation, you'll see what you must become. Not the man who hopes to be chosen, but the man who chooses to carry weight. You gave love, and she walked away. You gave safety, and she forgot you. But the moment you carried silence, resisted her storms, stood indifferent, shocked her world, and scarred her memory, you became the one she can't replace. This is the merciless truth that has haunted you for years. You thought love would be enough. You thought safety would keep her. You thought loyalty would protect you. Yet each attempt left you emptier, more humiliated, more dissolved in her eyes. Because love can be traded, safety can be replaced, loyalty can be exploited. But the weight of triggers, these can't be ignored. Now you see the structure of female psychology, not the illusions you were fed, not the comforting lies that destroyed you, but the skeleton of truth beneath her skin. She's not guided by romance. She's bound by switches. And when you press them, she's yours, whether she admits it or not. The first trigger, silence, taught you that absence weighs heavier than presence. The second, resistance, proved that boundaries create respect. The third, indifference, forced her to orbit your center. The fourth, unpredictability, shocked her nervous system into craving. And the fifth, the scar, branded you into her memory forever. This isn't theory. This isn't philosophy wrapped in words. This is the lived reality you already know. Every man who has suffered betrayal carries the scars of giving without power. Every man who has lost a woman knows the truth of being replaced. And every man who has glimpsed, even for a moment, the weight of these triggers knows what happens when they're applied. She can't leave, even when she tries. But now the choice is yours. You can return to the old path, pouring yourself into women, giving them all, dissolving in their approval, vanishing in their memory. Or you can walk the new path, the path of weight, resistance, indifference, unpredictability, and scar. The path that makes you unforgettable. Don't misunderstand. This path isn't about cruelty. It's not about harming for pleasure. It's about reclaiming what was stolen from you, your frame, your center, your right to be the axis. It's about stripping away the illusions that made you weak and embracing the forces that make you unmovable. And the truth is this: when you live as the trigger, you no longer beg for love. You no longer fear being abandoned. You no longer collapse under the terror of being replaced, because you know you are the scar, not the comfort. You are the center, not the orbit. You are the weight she can't dissolve. So stop living to be chosen. Start living as the trigger. You came here broken by betrayal, by divorce, by disrespect. You came here looking for answers, searching for a way back to power. And now you've seen it. The lies are burned. The truth is unveiled. All that remains is whether you'll live it. Because if you do, you'll never be the same. Women won't look at you as they did before. They'll feel the silence you carry. They'll test your frame and fail. They'll circle your center. They'll be shocked by your unpredictability. And when you choose, you'll scar them forever. You'll be remembered long after the men who gave love and safety are forgotten. This is the transformation every man secretly craves, not to be accepted, but to be irreplaceable. Not to be tolerated, but to be unforgettable. And this is only the beginning. Because attraction isn't the end of her psychology. It's the beginning of her tests. Every woman who's drawn to you will test you. And if you don't know how to respond, you'll lose the power you gained. That's what comes next, the hidden tests women give every man, and how you must pass them. Prepare yourself, because the triggers brought her to you, but the tests decide whether you keep her. Stop living to be chosen. Start living as the trigger.